Tech Cocktail Conversations, candid insights from startup founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders from around the globe.
Hi, I'm Scott Case. I'm the CEO of the Startup America Partnership, and we're all about stepping up America's startup game to the next level and helping startups grow their businesses all across the country. I'm a serial founder. I've done startups my whole life, and everything from cutting grass in high school all the way through to being the Chief Technology Officer for Priceline.com when we founded the company, to working on ending malaria deaths in Africa, scaling up businesses that help small nonprofits use the internet for fundraising, an organization called Network for Good, and most recently working on ending malaria deaths in Africa, malaria no more. For me, being an entrepreneur was really very natural. I don't really remember what the trigger point was. It probably involved initially, well, I could make money doing something that I kind of like to do. And the more I learned about building companies, the more passionate I was about doing that kind of stuff. I'm an engineer by training, but I always knew that I wanted to build my own things. And from a very early age, whether it was Legos and Tinker Toys, all the way through to starting my first little software company when I was in high school and in college. And I've only been able to build my own stuff or work with others who are building something from scratch. That's kind of my skill. So I think startups that I've seen all across the country now have a few common afflictions. And they're categorized in a set of buckets, but one in particular is that most startups, especially first-timers, spend an awful lot of their time and energy working on product development, figuring out their product. What they often fail to do is spend enough time understanding who their customers are and doing the customer development that Steve Blank talks so much about. But the third category that I'm really interested in is network development. The notion of, at the very beginning, or very early stages of developing your company, how do you make sure that you build a community of people around your business that care as much about your business as you do? And you're going to need that network throughout the cycles of when you're building the product, to access to customers, to access to talent, to access to capital, to access to partners. If you don't build that from the very beginning, or you don't naturally have it when you get into the business, companies face all these other challenges, and they almost always come back to the fact that they don't have the right relationships around them. And what they do often is they sort of blame the environment that they're in, as opposed to recognizing that they have a role to play in investing in that energy. Startups are in a really unique place right now. For the first time in probably our history as a country, we've really got to focus on our natural athleticism of becoming great at being a startup economy. We've sort of run through this time of being really good at it for a long time. And we're now at a place where we've got to really focus on it. One of the things that startups have access to for the first time in that history is a whole body of people and knowledge that can help you think through how your business grows. So whether it's Lean Startup by Eric Ries or Steve Blank's book called the Startup Owner's Manual, we've got these platforms now that didn't exist before. Even something like Startup Genome, where you can evaluate your company against thousands of other companies and see where you are and where your challenges are. We've got a whole body of tools, but you've got to take advantage of them. So one of the things that we're doing at Startup America is focusing on building a huge community of startups all across the country to connect to each other and be able to get access to a whole wide range of connections that can help them build their businesses, cut their costs, grow their top line, but also get this knowledge that can help them, including we've built a learning series where every day you get access to some of those same great people. We didn't always have those. If I look back to my own experience starting Priceline, those people didn't exist. Those platforms weren't there. You had to really create everything from whole cloth. Now as a startup, you really need to take advantage of all these things if you're going to be successful. So look, if you're a startup in the United States, you should be taking advantage of every asset you possibly can. We've got awesome things that are helping. We've got much lower cost for doing computing. Almost any business you start is going to rely on some kind of technology. So you need to take advantage of all these types of assets and resources. And one of the things that we've done at Startup America is assemble a whole set of things, a network of startups from all across the country. We've got over 20 regions around the country that have startup leadership in them. Startup DC, Startup Maryland, Startup Virginia, Startup Colorado, Tennessee. Go find those people, and you can find them all by visiting Startup America's website. Simply go to s.co, and you can join, you can learn more about it, you can connect to thousands of startups all over the country, and really tap into the resources that we can help you grow your business and grow your network with. I'm instinctively a disruptive human being. I break rules, I'm really not good with them. In fact, I'm married to a woman who, thank God, is a wonderful supporter of me, but she's very much a rule follower and I'm very much a rule breaker, which makes us a good balance. I don't know, I think part of it's genetic and part of it's just that, for me, challenging assumptions and looking at things from a different angle is just both natural and the most interesting thing. I find that the edges are where the action is. And so staying in the middle isn't that interesting. So I've always found myself as a person challenging. Now that said, as a father who sees his genetic material passed on to my 4 children, that can be really challenging as a parent. So I was probably a really annoying, challenging kid. I usually thank my parents for tolerating me. So I'm going to give you 2 pieces of advice. So the first is that network. Build a great network of people who care about what you're doing and be constantly evolving and keeping up to speed. The second, it's kind of related, is focus. Focus, focus, focus. So many startups, especially led by founders, you can lose your way in the process. You really got to focus. Doesn't mean you can't shift your focus, but you can't have 10 things you're working on. And that goes for whether it's product features or services. You got to really be focused on what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and then be conscious if you go in a different direction to be declarative about it. So really, really focus and build a network around you.